Hi there. So happy. First things first, as always, happy Thick Thigh Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for asking me questions and giving me things to talk about. Thank you for being here. As always, I am Seisha. I am Thick Thigh Yoga absolutely everywhere. And I usually say something to the effect of I help women learn to love their bodies better, but I've done a lot of work in the last week or so in refining what I am saying I'm doing and the way I'm expressing my message and what I provide. So I'm in a bit of a transition space myself. And so that that is kind of what led me to the post that I made the other day and our topic for the week. So what are we talking about? We are talking about saying no without guilt. So that I know is a really difficult thing for a lot of people, specifically women, and particularly the women that follow me and come to my page to help find confidence within themselves. Hey, Kia. Hey, Woo. So first things first, tap in. Where are you tapping in from? Please let me know. Put it in the chat. I would love to know where are you watching from. And then also, if you're here already, please share, right? If there's any way, shape, or form you think that somebody would benefit from hearing this chat, being a part of this conversation around saying no without guilt, right? Around standing on your boundaries, 10 toes down on what you said, right? Or what you actually want, and doing the things that'll lead you to being in a space that you actually want to be in because you are sticking to it. If you think any of that or anything, any other message you've heard me say is um useful, is should be amplified in any way, shape, or form, please share. Please share the live. Please like the live. That is what you can do for free to support one, me, two, creators like me at all times, right? And then people that have their own businesses, people that are working for themselves. Thank you so much, Sonia, for the gifts. Thank you, Lacey, for sharing. Hey, Lacey from Georgia. Yes, yes, like it, share it. I appreciate those things so much. They mean more than you think. I appreciate the gifts if you are giving of them, and if you have them, and if you don't, then you don't. But please share and like. I'm always live, especially when when me by myself. I'm always live on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you have a preferred medium, you can find me on that medium. I do this on purpose. I do this specifically for accessibility, for people to be able to find me and have conversations with me and find more of the things that I'm associated with, right? So yes, you can find my channel on YouTube. I have videos there of yoga, but more also of these conversations. And this has been this has been a space of growth for me, with a space I have grown into, I guess I should say, right? In a matter of, I wasn't, thank you, Steph. I When I started teaching yoga online, like, this wasn't it, y'all. I swear this wasn't it. This wasn't the purpose. This wasn't the point. I just ended up having a lot of conversations that led to the space where we are discussing, like, how yoga impacts your confidence and can impact your confidence and increase your confidence and help you come to a space where you can exist and function and live confidently, wholeheartedly, live through the spaces that you are a part of more fully, right? And so one of those topics that people are kind of always asking me about, and I made a post about it the other day. Thank you so much, Trey. I made a post about the other day. Like, sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you just have to say no. Sometimes we try so hard to be all these things and play all these roles, right? I spoke about it then. It's some of it is like imposter syndrome, right? Some of it is people pleasing. Some of it is what you are just kind of used to seeing and existing in the places you're used to take the space you're used to taking up. Um, and then part of it is also that desire to feel needed. Sometimes we foster the desire to feel needed so much that we create this situation where Everybody around us is needy for us. Everybody around us is always asking us for things. It's a lot. Um people have desires. People are asking you to participate here because they know you can, right? Because they know you have the ability to fulfill a certain thing, to create certain spaces, to make things happen. Sometimes we pour into it ourselves enough because it feels good. It feels good to feel needed at the start, right? In the beginning. It feels good to say like, "Oh, well, people really need me. People need my input, they need my voice. I am valuable here." Whatever it may be. Sometimes that feels good and then that leads to overwhelm, right? Like so we end up uh, sorry. We end up in a space where it's like, okay, now 30,000 people need 30,000 things from me, and I haven't even slept well in a week and a half. Forget anything else. Forget being on top of exercising, eating well, children, job, whatever you could feel behind in all the ways. I haven't even been able to function normally, right? Like, thank you so much for running up the likes on TikTok. We're almost at 2K. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for the gifts. Um, like I feel like the TikTok community specifically has been like, yo, we almost lost it. So we really gotta be all in. And I appreciate you for that. I truly do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But and please drop your questions, drop your thoughts. Do you please raise a hand in the comments? Do you have a hard time saying no to things? Do you find this to be a common theme either for yourself, for your friends, for the women in your life that you know? And I say specifically women most of the time because that's who my audience is and that's who I talk to. I know there are plenty of guys here. Guys always get a shout out for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate the men that hold space respectfully with me, right? Because the other guys get blocked so fast. It just is what it is. And that is about me saying no and holding my boundaries, right? So I appreciate you being here when you are here and holding space. Well, Lacey, I'm learning to say no more and more. Yes, right? So it's a process. And does that mean say no to everything? Not necessarily. I'm not saying say no to everything. I'm saying no to the things that will not serve me. I'm saying no to things that don't make sense. I'm saying no to things that feel way too cumbersome for what they will actually yield, right? So if you're asking me to do something that is so much, it's so draining, it's so this, it's so that, it's so time consuming, energetically draining, whatever it may be, and then I'm gonna get like a half a pat on the back. Nah, we're not doing this. I'm not. I'm not the one. And that doesn't mean that you can't find someone. And really, um, you are, I should say, we are different. We're all different people. So the things that really, really hold value for you, if you feel like, yes, I would do this for free, do it for free. Nobody's telling you not to. I'm telling you specifically, I am telling you not to do things that you find draining, that you find like so just like I said, energetically draining, whether it's monetary, it's time, it's energy, whatever it is, you find it draining, you find it as like a "Ugh, I don't want to do this. I hate doing this. I don't know why I said yes to it." Then don't say yes next time. That's what I'm saying. Um Miss Ivy, listen, you were my cousin in my head. I'm restarting my journey once more, and I'm so happy I found you. Hey, Ivy, thank you for being here. Um, and Sonia, you bring up a good point. So I've learned to enforce boundaries, but I feel like I've become maybe too self-isolating. We will talk about that. That's good, right? So understanding that when you say no, and this was kind of what I was expressing when I had the conversation around being a girl's girl and speaking up, right? You, Miss Ivy, you have to give from your overflow. Fill your cup first. Exactly. Like, and that's a huge thing. And some of us really don't know how to fill our cup properly, right? So that's also an issue, something that is on my list to discuss, right? But that is kind of the fear of some people as well, Sonia. That's why I'm really glad you brought it up and why part of the conversation is being had here. Sometimes it feels like if you say no, then no one will be around you. And that's just not true. If you say no to absolutely everything, then yeah, who can be around you? You're not saying yes to anything at all. You don't want to be here. So if it's nothing, then yes, evaluate that, right? Like if it's absolutely nothing. And then in that case, also think about the things that you actually want to say yes to, right? Um, so if there are things that exist that you want to say yes to, where are those opportunities? Where are those situations? Where does that come up? Where does that process happen? Right? Because if you can say, "Oh yeah, no, I always say yes to things, or at least I always say yes to things that fit into my schedule." Obviously, right? Don't overload yourself. But then I'm saying yes to things that I feel are emotionally fulfilling, or I feel are going to be spiritually fulfilling. I'm going to get good energy from this. I'm going to get a good meal and enjoy myself. I'm going to get a good drink and have a good laugh with my friends. Whatever it may be, it doesn't always have to be the most responsible thing. It doesn't have to be clean eating, or it doesn't have, like there's boundaries to put in place for what you actually like. But are you saying yes to things that you actually like? Are there things that exist that you actually like? Those are important. Right. And so those are the conversations that you need to be having with yourself. Um, oh dang it. I always do that. One thing that I I always try to make sure people understand when it comes to like having those conversations with yourself. Sometimes you need a journal, sometimes you need another voice, sometimes it's a therapist, sometimes it's a person like a coach like me one-on-one, or in a group setting. If you go to go to some sort of group and converse with other people, other women, other, insert the category here of who you would like to meet with. um and I will say this: sometimes when you feel like you have to say no to everything everybody is offering you, you need different people in your life. It is also scary to meet people at this age in life, which next week I'll give you a preview. Next week, as in Thursday, the day before Valentine's Day, we are going to be talking about trusting yourself to date again after a crazy situation, because if you've been around, I've been through it. uh, right. But I've also realized that that comes with friends, right? So last year I was in Florida, and I was trying to find new friends, and that was a thing. And I've met some amazing people. I met some incredible people, but I didn't meet. But that doesn't mean that everybody I met was supposed to be my new best friend, right? That's not a thing. And I'm also not trying to replace the friends that I have. I'm just trying to find and play friends that makes sense in this stage of my life. So that just makes a difference. Sonia, I hope that helps. Let me know if that makes sense, or something like that. Thank you, thank you. This is my baby. She goes all the way, all the way down and up. This is my baby. Um, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw her in my story today or yesterday. Molly got two new leaves. That means spring is about to spring, y'all. I feel it, or at least I gotta believe in it. Um, right. And so make sure you turn on your notifications if that's the talk that you need as well, because that'll be next Thursday. I already have it in my list. I've been trying to be organized, y'all. Trying to get it together in this content creation world. Regardless. So yeah, if you feel like you need to make new connections, the people in your life aren't providing the support, or and you don't feel like you can be a support to them, because that's the thing too. I have heard people say like, well, nobody reached out to me when this and this and this happened. Okay, but if you chose to not reach out to people as well, then take ownership of that choice. That's cool. Who did you want to reach out to? Because maybe that's who you should be talking to, and not other people. Like that's just kind of how this works. Um, and because I've had those thoughts and those feelings myself, right? Like there are people that I didn't talk to for 6 months, 9 months when I was in Florida, and I was only there for a year and a half. As soon as I got back, they were talking to me. Okay, you wanted me to be a convenient friend. I see where we are. I see where my station is in your life. Thank you for clarifying that for me. And I can now give you the same space. I can hold the amount of space for you that you did for me. And I can get that. Hey, Mello. So I offer the idea that, like, yeah, specifically people like that, or people in your life that you just don't want to deal with certain situations with them, you can say no. You can say no to that, right? Because there are people like, I'm turning 35 this year, right? Like, I'm not trying to go to the club like that. And then even restaurants, right? So even like certain restaurants, some loud restaurants, like loud brunch, there's a DJ. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes, like, I just want to be able to sit and chit chat with you over a cup of coffee and it's nice and clear and calm and quiet enough. Hey. Um, and so the people that I'm going to invite to that space are not going to be the same people that only want to do that club stuff. It just doesn't really work, right? It doesn't really work like that. Thank you for the gifts, Mello. What is my favorite coffee? Oh my God, Kenny. I shout out to I oh damn, wait, I'm looking for my phone like I'm not on it. Super smart, y'all. I swear, I got master's degrees and everything. I will put it in my story. I just went the other day on Tuesday. I went to this cafe. Again, if you're on my Instagram, you saw it in my story. I had a tiramisu cloud latte. Whew, amazing. So good. Like, I was like, damn, I could drive back to Coney Island today for that. I did not. I did not. But it is a coffee place in Long Island in Coney Island, excuse me, South Brooklyn, and I can't remember. So we'll get back to it, but that's it was so good. Um, so yeah, Sunny. So what do we do? What do we do if we're feeling like I need to say no to certain things? I would like to be able to say yes to certain things. Thank you, Landis. I want to be in a space where I have things to say yes to that fulfill me, that also fill my cup. And I am clear enough to say no to things that will be too draining, that will in fact leave me empty instead of full, right? Because that's what I'm talking about, like that energetic exchange. I I went to dinner with two of my old coworkers the other day, and after the coffee, actually, right? That's why I was in Brooklyn. Um, and when I say I love them both, so if they see this, great. All they talk about was work and how crazy it was, how stressful it is, how draining it is, and how bad everything is falling apart. And respect, because whether you know or you don't know, I used to be a teacher. I was a special ed math teacher in the high school in South Brooklyn. I have utmost respect for education. That's what grandma raised. My grandmother, who raised me, raised three educators. And we are a passionate family about education. Education needs a crazy overhaul. Um, uh, so the question, right, is like, how draining was that for me? It really wasn't. I love talking to these people. I love making jokes. I love making light of the situation. I love understanding them and giving them a different perspective, because that was the conversation we were having. They weren't just shouting negativity down my throat, right? And so, popcorn, yes. Should I be silent to the negative energy people have when you speak to them? And so that's really the question, right? It depends on how that negativity comes out. For me, I like to combat it with my joy. So like everybody always says, like, Seisha, you're so bubbly, you're so this, you're so like happy, you make people smile, you make people comfortable. And I do that because this is the space that I'm allowed to hold. This is a space I love holding for people. You having a conversation with me is not going to be much different. Ooh, I'm shaking it on YouTube. Um, you having a conversation with me in person is not going to be much different. You can ask any of the guys that I've dated since we've been back. But this is who I am, and this is who I get to be, right? So I would say the response to the negativity, or the response to anything, honestly, which was in my caption today, if you saw my carousel on Instagram, be true to yourself, be true to your energy, be true to yes, be true to what it is you want to portray, what it is that you want to live in, right? So if you are in a space where somebody is being OD negative to you, everything you say, they're combating it with negativity, they don't want a solution. They don't want to feel better. This might be venting, and so you can ask that question. That is a question that I do suggest you ask, especially if you feel like you're having a hard time with somebody and their negativity, but you don't want to necessarily like remove them. You just want to understand where they're coming from. I have a question. Are you just venting right now? Or do you actually need me to insert the thing here, right? Because maybe you're spending your energy trying to create a solution that they don't want. Maybe that means that all you need to do is listen. Or maybe that means the next time you say no to whatever interaction this is, right? That's where the decision lies. Does it pour into you or not? If you feel good listening to the vent session and you're good with your latte sitting across and we doing it, perfect. You're getting what you wanted out of it energetically. You're getting this time with the person that you wanted to spend the time with. You are allowing yourself to be that point of reflection for them, that venting space, that clear, open, listening ear to them, and you feel good about it. If both of y'all feel good at the end of it, great. That's okay. This is an energetic exchange that is sustainable. If at the end of their negativity, you're like, oh God, I should not have, then you should not have. Don't do it again. Don't do it next time. And if you really feel like, but I should support this person, don't do it next time. Do it when you are filled. Do it when you're in a good enough space to say, oh yeah, I'm in a good mood. It's fine. We can do this. I got the wherewithal for it right now. I have that space. I have the opportunity to actually provide that for you. Yes, you've experienced this. Hey girl. If you are on Instagram right now, in the comments, the sweetest comes down here. You can follow her. Uh, but check out her page, right? So this is the situation. Like, you can just say no to situations that are overly draining. The only time that I would say this is a real problem is when you're talking about like being a mom and a parent, I should say. And again, I always address everything to women because my clientele is women. My conversations I have are with women. Men, always feel free to chime in. I'm listening. We're listening. Be respectful, but we're listening. Okay. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. I did not mean to do that. It's an invitation. So anyway, the question that was asked before, did I miss it? Oh, no. Okay. I think I answered that. That's cool. So back to what I was saying, right? So we have a hard time saying no. We have a hard time saying no, especially without feeling guilty. And I want you to let go of that ownership. If somebody, I have trouble doing it, honestly. I always felt like I needed to listen to them vent. You don't. If it's not good for you, if it's not good for both of you, especially if it's just circling around, you're not helping. How about that? How about this? It is less helpful for you to listen to that person vent for the 99th time because they're never going to do anything about it if they can release it onto you. Okay? You heard me? Right? If they can release it onto you, if they can just let that go for a little bit and then build up that steam again and be just as emotionally draining and broken and hurt and all that as they were, you didn't even help. You just delayed their nervous breakdown versus forcing them to figure out a healthier way to deal with what they're dealing with and possibly even find a new path. I was dating a guy before years ago, and he was complaining about his job. We were both in education, but different perspectives, right? And we're both in education, and he kept complaining about the space where he was. And honestly, that's how I felt when I was in my last year or two teaching. But before that, right? We were in a space where he just would not stop complaining about it. It was so, and like to the point where I was like, you're harshing my vibes. Like, I've always been chill, right? You harshing my vibes. And like immediately after work, I can't do this. This is too much, right? And so I said to him, you can't complain to me until you put in at least 3 to 5 job applications. Now, I will say this. I have no problem making that kind of statement, making these declarative statements, because I'm gonna put up my boundaries, right? But I understand that like it may feel like, oh, well, I need to listen to somebody. Not only did I listen to him, right? I gave him a possible solution to his situation. And I told him how I felt about what he was saying to me and the way he was speaking to me and the way he was sharing things to me for me, right? Um I'm triggered hearing this. I love you. um but it is what it is, right? Like we don't need to take in other people's negativity, especially if it's not going to help anything. Ooh, I'm sorry, popcorn. I missed your message. Am I supposed to be upset when the other um race shows me the evil and devil side of them? Male or female? Well, I mean, this is where I always say, like, you have to show up true to you. And that's the case for all of this, right? I can't do excessive negativity. It's so draining. Absolutely. People hate when I say don't complain to me. Yeah. And that's the thing. People are going to hate it, right? Um and that is kind of where we end up again in that people pleasing space, right? In that I need to do this because, and you don't. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. You really don't. You don't need to. Because I want to ask you the last time, which I really don't mean for this to be triggering. God forbid you've had like a genuinely traumatic experience, but the last time you just couldn't do something, right? You wanted to, you started to say yes, it fell off your plate, it was too much, you forgot about it, it was something, there was, you definitely felt the guilt of not being able to do that thing or show up for that person the way you were supposed to show up for them. Did they die? Or did we all move on? Right? like like that's kind of it. And this is why I say this is much harder when you're talking about like the motherhood situation of it all, because then yeah, honestly, this is your kid, you got to take care of some stuff, right? You have to um be on top of it. But if that's not the case, we're talking about other adults, we're talking about people who could be self-sustaining but are choosing not to. Why? Okay, they could be self-sustaining but they're choosing not to. Why is that on you? And that could be your question. Why is this on me? Right? And if you ask that question, if you ask that question, right, and you have a good answer for yourself, you're not convincing yourself, you're not fighting with yourself about it, you're not feeling bad, you're just like, why is it on me? Well, it's on me because this. And I feel good about that. Say yes. Figure it out. Put it in your calendar. Make the time for it. But if you're asking yourself, why is this on me? And it's not, mm-mm. Let it go. Be out. Right? You don't have to hold on to that. You don't have to participate in life in this way. Like it just doesn't work that way. You don't have to do it. Thank you, Landis. Um, it's not no saying no is not mean, it's not selfish, it's not rude. It is what you need to do sometimes, right? We're conditioned, especially like black women, people of color, people that grew up in lower income situations, whatever. We are used to being people that have to say yes. Right? There's so many situations where I feel like I have to say yes. I have to do this. I have to show up this way. I have to blah 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 blah. Right? And like depending on what it is and what's in front of you, no, you don't, right? You really don't have to just say yes to it. You don't have to participate in that way. You don't have to. You can still say yes. And then remember that you are choosing to be overwhelmed, overworked, tired, exhausted. You are choosing to take up the space where you don't prioritize yourself. You prioritize what other people tell you they want, right? Because I think that was probably like a big breaking point for me, right? So because you're asking a question here about like should I be upset if people do this. There's no should be upset. If you feel disrespected, you are allowed to be upset. However, you are also allowed to remove yourself from the situation. You have to learn to say no sometimes, right? Because in a lot of situations like that, especially talking about, especially right now, right, race, DEI, all those things are a big hot button conversation. I don't have to explain this shit to you. I don't have to sit here for this. I don't have to sit here and get disrespected. I don't have to give you free labor. I don't have to do X, Y, Z. So again, is this on me? Why is this on me? It is not on me, right? Depending on the situation. Hire a nice DEI specialist. There's plenty of people that since 2020 have been adding this to their resume and as their degrees, and there's just programs, all sorts of stuff. Find those people. If it's not you, it's not you, right? Or insert the thing here of whether it should be you or not. If you're asking the question, how come I have to do this? Maybe it's somebody else's job. Find that person. Feel free. Suggest it to whoever is asking you. I think that's a job for this person. Or, and if it's them, that sounds like something you should be taking care of, doesn't it? And if it feels bad to say that, ask yourself why, right? Because then that's the thing. And that this is where we kind of pedal back to, right? You don't have to be there for everybody. You don't have to listen to everybody. Everybody is not your best friend. Everybody is not your mother, father, sister, brother, whoever it is that you feel like, no, I would really always listen to them and I would always support them because they always are there for me and since childhood and this and the other. Whatever your reasoning is, if it's not a person that you got all this laundry list of reasons, why are you doing it? Why are you stressing yourself out about it? Don't do that. Just don't do that. That's what I got. Don't do it. Um, right. So if you if you feel bad about saying no, it makes sense, right? You have the fear of disappointing people. You have the our cultural and societal expectations, like I just said, right? And there's especially as a woman, and I can't even say that. I can't even say that because I know men that feel like, oh, I'm so big, I have to be like nice and take care of things and because people can't think I'm mean, right? Especially as black men, right? I don't want people to think I'm mean. Or everybody always thinks I'm mean. I look mean, so I have to try to be super nice and super this and super that. Yeah, you don't. Right? Because I swear, y'all get this version of me. Absolutely. And like I said, I am this in person. Like I don't feel like I fake who I am. It's just the situations. Um, but don't put me in the wrong situation. If somebody tells you that met a whole different Sasha and she was rude and she was this, she was that, maybe I was. That's what you got out of me. This was a situation you were providing. So this is what you got out of me. And I'll again 10 toes down on that. I'm good with that. That's fine. Not arguing with anybody about it. If that's the impression you got of me, that's what you got. Keep it. Or or don't. Whatever. Um but it's we have this idea that we're supposed to be nice. We're supposed to be easy to work with, supposed to be agreeable, supposed to be whatever. And it's like, I don't, okay, maybe I'm not agreeable. I might be right though. and, and I'll accept that I'm right. Oh, before I accept that, this is it. Like I'm supposed to follow what you have to say. I don't have to follow what you have to say because that, you know what that's going to lead to? It's going to lead to, it's going to support that internalized belief that we don't deserve rest, that we don't deserve for other people to care about where we are or how we operate or how we function. And that's not true. It's going to cost you your peace of mind, right? Because you're going to get to burnout and resentment because you didn't even want to do that shit, but you did it anyway, and now you're tired. You didn't get done what you actually needed to do or wanted to do, or you didn't get the rest that you needed, and now you're exhausted. Now you're again burnt out. You have that resentment, that anger. You are losing your time for your goals and yourself, right? If you have, I would love to know your stories in the chat, right? Like, when did you say yes and it backfired? Because those are those moments. I should have never said yes to blank. Think about that one because that's a real one, right? And so those are your lessons. I don't want you to ever feel like you should go back in time and be mad at your old self. That's not a real thing. And so that's the thing too, right? We kind of get guilted also often into, well, you did it last time or you did this before. I don't give a damn what I did last time. Okay. Too many times you said yes, Sonia. I feel you. Right. I really don't care what happened last time, especially if last time wasn't like yesterday. If it was yesterday, yes, I up and set some new boundaries today because of whatever reasons, because of what happened. So yeah, you are probably going to be taken by surprise. Cool. But like usually it's not that necessarily. There's a lot of situations like that, but I talk to women now, especially like when we talk about dating, right? Helping somebody move, you shouldn't have done that. But talking about dating, like whatever boundaries it was that you were supposed to say no to, you were supposed to put down, it was supposed to be different, right? Then somebody loops back 6 months, a year later, whatever. The rules are different. The cost of admission is higher. I don't, whatever. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. It is what it is. Like you have to own the fact that, like, no, I didn't want to do this. I should have learned this. And now I'm adjusting. And you are allowed to adjust. Don't be mad at who you were before. You were trying to be nice. That's okay. Don't be mad that you were trying to be nice. That makes you evil. Now you the Grinch all day. Be okay with it. It's fine. Shay, me trying to be a travel agent for Universal instead of just Disney, and I'm going back to just Disney. Yes, and you love Disney, and so that's the thing, right? Like the things that you would basically do for free, the conversations that you would have anyway, the activities that you would do by yourself, or and especially not dying to do by yourself, right? Because some things like still say no. I don't want your help. I want to do this by myself. But the things that you would do anyway, the things that conversations you would have regardless, yeah, those are things that you can easily help people with. It is a blessing for you to be able to provide that service and give that time to somebody else. Isn't that beautiful? If you feel like it's fulfilling to you like that, if it's monetarily fulfilling, energetically fulfilling, whatever the way is, spiritually, emotionally, the physically, whatever it is, if you feel like, yes, this is what I would do, this feels good, I like this, I'm going to engage in it, great, great, then you shouldn't feel drained at the end of it. That's kind of it. If you act like this, right? If you respond this way, if you participate in the things and you're like, yeah, no, I wouldn't feel drained at the end of this anyway. I love doing this. I love participating in it. Or, I know this, like the idea of, is it going to pay off in the long run, right? Anybody that has ever helped potty train a child, right? I have helped potty train multiple children, regardless of the fact that I ain't got no kids. I have helped potty train so many children. And it's like, you know what? While this is a frustrating space to be in, and you got a lot of stuff to clean up, you got to just be alert and be on top of it, and this and the other. At the same time, this is absolutely worth it. You're absolutely worth doing. The long run, I'm gonna need this done. So yes, I'm gonna put in the work right now. That's cool. It's good. We're gonna do it. We're gonna keep going. It's great. How do you balance not wanting to be too nice but also be dependable? Just say no to things and probably give reasons, right? Because that is the thing where, um if you have a valid reason, sometimes people will try to push on your reasoning. Annoying. But if you have valid reasons when you say no to things, then you have a reason, right? If you say no to absolutely everything, then yeah, again, we're back to no, nobody's gonna be around you, nobody's gonna want to participate in things with you, because you are given nothing, right? And like, sure, you are amazing and gorgeous, right? And if somebody just wants to be around you for that, and whatever you wanted to do was it, perfect. But if there's any pushback on that, then yeah, you got to give a little bit, right? So being dependable and making it make sense, right? You're not just saying no for no reason. Hey, I would love to help you move this weekend, but it is my mom's birthday, so I'm gonna be out of town. You can't argue with me, right? And maybe it doesn't seem like that big of a thing. It could be, I can't do this. It doesn't fit in my schedule. This week has is slammed, and I like I know I'm going to be exhausted, right? If I'm not going to be valuable in this space, that's a damn good reason for me to not participate. If I'm already super drained, I'm at zero already and I know it by Friday, Saturday I can't help you. Saturday I'm sleeping in. Okay? Um And then if it's give the time that makes sense for you, right? If you have somebody, and I just keep using this moving example because it was given to me, right? If you know you don't have the time or energy, or it's going to cost you this, or the like the output is too much. The output is too much. It's not going to offer you what you want to get out of it. It's not going to feel fulfilling for you. I can't, right? I went from people pleaser to having to fight my Taurus tendencies, and yeah, that's also a thing. When we see a problem, we often completely overcorrect, right? We go in the complete opposite direction, and that is how I ended up with an ex-husband. Um, so maybe you don't go so far, right? That's just kind of what it is, right? Like my college boyfriend was so emotionally abusive and overbearing that like I was afraid that it's for anybody to be in like all in my space like that. Like he definitely did a lot to make sure that I didn't have friends, that I didn't make friends when I got a new job, that and to the point where he doesn't even remember half this stuff because we have spoken about it, right? And we've made some repairs, but still, right? It's abuse that like I was so emotionally drained by that when I met my ex-husband, I was looking for somebody to give me all the space. Um, and then I found somebody who didn't give a damn about me. It's overcorrection. It's a vast overcorrection. And so finding my way back and finding myself in a space that I find more regulated, more reasonable, it has been a difficult process. This is still it, right? Things have happened. I'll also add, if you say, "Hey, I'm going to do this on Saturday, but on Thursday you realize you can't," say that. Don't struggle the entire way. Tell people, "Yes, that is absolutely true." Being afraid to go back on what you said um in advance versus leaving somebody asked out on the day of, nah, you're not a jerk for one, but you are a jerk for the other. You will look worse, actually. And then that's a self sabotage thing that we do where it's like, well, if it's going to be bad, then it's going to be the worst possible thing it could be. I'm going to light the whole thing on fire, flip the table, put it in. Relax, relax. It could be a small bump and everybody would be fine. And be like, damn, I can't do this. Okay, acknowledge that you can't do it. I have a friend who her wedding is during my retreat this year in April. I would love to be at her wedding. I could not cancel my retreat in April with 11 women to be like, oh yeah, but I'm going to my friend's wedding in Mexico. I love her. It's just not happening. I told her that I couldn't go. Like I was so excited. I was, yes, thank you so much. And then I looked at the invitation dates. Like when the official invitation came in, I was like, damn girl, I love you so much. And I will be here to support you in whatever wedding decisions you need. Ask me the questions. I got you. Let's chat. I cannot be at that wedding. And we had the conversation early. She was like, thank you. I'm so glad that you told me early. I got people last minute. They trying to hang on. They trying to do this, trying to do that. It's a messed up situation. It hurts. It hurts to be in this situation, right? It hurts to be told like last minute after all these things, oh yeah, I can't. You should have said that in the beginning. Don't set yourself up for failure. That makes it so much worse, right? And so when we are in these situations, we're afraid to speak up. We're afraid that, if I say no, then the world is going to crumble and everything anyone believes about me will suddenly be untrue. Relax. Um, I'm not saying that you don't have value, your words don't have value, that it's not that, people don't want to don't appreciate your support. It's just that yeah, the world will still turn because if you can't show up, the world will still turn, right? But now those people that you said you were going to show up for are struggling. They're having a hard time. They don't have as much to go off of, whatever. Versus if you had said no beforehand, okay, well now I'm not planning on this. I'm not banking on this. I'm not whatever. It's funny cuz my ex-boyfriend is absolutely on the live. Hey. Um so I was just talking about you. Anyway, we're back. So your mindset shifts, right? So I did say feel free to give people reasoning, give people understanding, but remember that also your no is a full sentence. If it's a no, I can't do this. No, no, thank you. That doesn't work for me. I appreciate the invite, but I won't be able to come. I'm not available for that. Um, in whatever way, right? Like, and then let me know, like, what are some of the ways that you feel like are the hardest times you have to say no? Like, it's hard. I can say no to everybody but my brother. Or, like there's situations like that that I know of completely. And I've been like that too. Like, it's much easier for me to say no to people who aren't like my friends and stuff. If they are my friends, somebody in a relationship, like if they're close to me, I'm like, can I make this work? And then, again, set myself up for failure. And no, I don't want to do that either. Right? That makes me feel bad about myself. If I do things consistently that make me feel bad about myself, of course I'm going to want to people please and try to come up with ways to help other folks because then they're going to praise me because inside my head, bad words are happening. right? So I need outside validation. I'm going to try and fight for that. Mm. Which is also, again, what Sonia and I were talking about, right? That back and forth. That like once you're in your head and you're like, I want to say no to everything. That's because you feel so good about the decisions that you're making, right? You feel like, I know I shouldn't do this. I know this. I know that. And so you end up in a situation where you're like, I really didn't like any of this. I don't want to do any of these things and I won't. And you're allowed to feel that way, right? Thank you, Jordan. Right. This is you're allowed to feel that way. You're allowed to want um not want or need that outside validation. But the question, I guess, then is, do you actually want to help that person? Do you want to be in this situation? Do you want the memories of this thing happening? Do you want to be a part of the photos? What do you want out of it? Does it make sense? Is it fulfilling? Right? Because knowing what you want out of it also might be selfish. Might just be like, well, I didn't really want to go to her birthday, but I know I wanted to wear this new dress that I got, so I'm gonna go. Completely selfish. You don't care about that girl or her birthday. You don't need to go. And I believe that she, and I'm speaking only from my perspective mainly, right? I believe that she would only want you to go if you really wanted to be there. Um, there are friends that I have that we lived here years before I moved away and came back, right? I remember each one of my birthdays. The very first birthday that I knew them, because they were old coworkers of mine, not the ones I went out with the other day, right? The first birthday, I just invited everybody. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going. This is gonna be it." Blah blah blah. It was a dinner with like 15 people. Um, and uh, after that, I realized that they don't do group things. So we could do things, the three of us, but they don't like other people. They're very iffy about that. Now, this is where I have the choice to say, well, no, if you're not going to do this with me, I'm not going to do that with you. However, I was in a situation where I was like, this situation with the three of us, when we go out, we have brunch, we do this, we have our lunches. I feel very fulfilled in this. I think all three of us feel very fulfilled in this. This is something we desire to do. This is what we want to make happen. We are getting something out of this. And I am glad to hold this space as needed versus not have it, right? I want this. I want to talk to these people. I like this situation. I feel it's fulfilling for all of us. I could say, well, no, you didn't show up for me for this. You don't have to. Um, Thank you for the gifts. Um, and so when I think about, right, like what it means to say no, I understand that that may bring up like negative or guilty feelings. um it may bring up feelings that feel like, oh, I'm afraid to do this, I don't want to do that. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. We are almost at the live goal on TikTok. Thank you, thank you, thank you. um and Oh wow. And they're just going one by one. Thank you so much. Anyway, it may be hard to get to that space and it may feel wrong, like uncomfortable in your body, right? It may feel like, oh, like this makes me nervous, this raises my heart, my blood pressure. Um oh, and thank you, Huey, for buying a badge. It's my boy Ron on Instagram. Thank you, Radio Big Mac on TikTok. I appreciate y'all very, very much. um I get that feeling, that uneasy, makes my stomach, like it's like butterflies but negative, right? It's nervousness, it's uncomfortableness. It makes sense, right? It makes sense that this is what you're feeling if you have to, you feel like you have to say no and you haven't been doing that, right? I understand the fear. What's going to get you around that? A few things, right? So practice saying no, practice the situation, and then practice saying no again as a full sentence, right? No, no, thank you. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. No, I don't agree to this. No, this doesn't feel good to me. No, I don't want to participate, right? We don't know what situations we can be offered with that bubble of answers, but you can still say them, right? They provide you, again, a space to just say no, just refuse, as you desire, as is required for your personal energy, for your self love, for your space. Um, if you wanted to say, um, if you're in your head, and that's the thing too, I feel like we get in a space where I'm gonna practice this very specific situation. I'm gonna get down to this, and it's gonna be, oh, if I say this to this person, and they're gonna give me this and this, and if you get to that of a situation for you to possibly say no, you wanted to say yes, or you were afraid to say no. Come up with, like I said, practice. Come up with your mantra or your affirmation to repeat, but say no as needed. No, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not interested in doing this. No, this isn't comfortable for me. And whatever it may be. And if you have to write it 100 times like Bart Simpson, that's what you have to do. If you have to journal about it as a prompt, like I said, I have my guided journals that I do. I feel like are genuinely such a support that I wish more people this isn't even about like my business. I just wish more people could see it. I wish more people got into it and understood and actually like saw and heard and felt the difference. Because when we do it, when we do the journaling sessions and stuff, like people are like, yes, I never thought about it like that, thank you for asking this way. These are the prompts. Allow yourself to hear it through somebody else's words. The words that you say to yourself are not always going to be the words to get you there, right? And I say this with all the love and all the respect. Realize that the words that you say to yourself got you in this position. Okay? So maybe hearing somebody else's words and somebody else's situations or perspective can help you get out. And I'm not saying that you can't talk yourself out of it, but you're gonna need a little support. And that makes a lot of sense. You can role play with your friends or with a trusted, just whomever it may be. Um, if it needs to be to your pet, then talk to the goldfish, talk to the dog, talk to whoever. Um, I in grandma's last days, it didn't matter what we were talking to her about. I can talk to her about anything. I'm yammering along. It's what it is. Whoever and however you need to practice it with, practice it. Say no, right? Because then if you practice it and you are there and you're able and capable to do it, right? When your job expects you to do extra unpaid labor, you're gonna be ready to say no. When your friends or family try to pressure you into commitments, you are going to be allowed to say no. When someone tries to guilt you into helping them, you can say no. If you're dating and you want to set boundaries, you are able to say no to situations. It is very clear, right? And so now, if the clearer you are on the way you should feel and that no feeling really solid and resolved, now the disrespect is what's going to get your nervous system going. The disrespect is going to trigger that no, that clarity, that clearness on why I need to say no to this, right? Um and I told you next week we're going to be talking about like finding that confidence to date again, to open up yourself to new relationships, whether that's friendships or whatever it may be. Trusting a boss. I have such severe, or I should say had such severe like boss anxiety, right? And that was a whole aspect of my life. And maybe it's part of the reason I'm an entrepreneur now, but at the same time it's valid, it's valuable, it's just what it is. This is something that is a frustrating situation. um Hi, welcome, right? But if you can say no to the situations that feel bad, it allows you to genuinely say yes to the ones that feel good, right? And so as I said, tying it where it'll be the conversation next week will be surrounding these relationships. We are conditioned for some reason to just be nice to people who are nice to us and say yes to people who say yes to us and this and that, right? And it's like the concept of matching energy means that you actually have to match, right? So I have been dating, I've been connecting with people and having new conversations with folks. And sometimes you get into a situation where it's like, oh, we are definitely not a match. I'll give you this one. If you were looking for a dating out that is very respectful and clean, hey, I had a great time. I don't think we're a match. Best of luck finding what you're looking for. And if you did like them, like they were super nice, you want to encourage them to act the way they were acting, just not with you, you can add in there, thank you for the time, like everything. I really had a great time with you. I enjoyed all this experience. I did this, I did that. But yeah, but either way, we're not a match. Best of luck finding what you're looking for, right? And most people, at least most guys, yes, I have been dating, right? Most guys that I have presented this information to have bowed out respectfully. Okay, thank you so much for being clear. We're not wasting any more time. That's wonderful, right? Versus I if I now drag it out, if I start to accept things that I don't want, if I take situations in and I'm like, and I take it personal and I'm thinking about, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be with you. um, Larry, what days are your classes online? So I have class every Saturday, 10 a.m. And that's a great way to pull it together, right? So taking time to pour into yourself and make sure you feel good. Um, then you again are allowed to say no to situations that don't feel good and say yes to ones that do, right? So things like going to yoga regularly, going to, and maybe it's not yoga, right? Maybe it's Pilates, maybe it's whatever you like to do. Great, more power to you. I'm never saying no. It's just different things, right? But pouring into yourself in those ways, taking that time to reflect, taking that time to say, you know what, this doesn't feel good for me. I need a release. I need a consistent schedule on making space in my body and my mind. A conversation that I had at the summit that I went to last Wednesday, sometimes the thoughts just run in your head. For me, getting on my mat completely clears that. It definitely makes it easier. It definitely makes it just like so much more solid for me to stand on what it is that I wanted to stand on. So with that, I say that my classes are every Saturday, 10 a.m. online via Zoom. You can sign up on my website, thickthightyoga.com. It is me, my face, this logo. Um, and but maybe you're not ready for that yet, and you want one-on-one sessions. My one-on-one privates, I was just talking about this again earlier in this week when I was talking about the say no video. My one-on-one sessions work on your schedule. We find a time, we have a conversation, we find the time slot that works for you. I have clients at 7 o'clock in the morning before they get ready for work. They come to me. I have clients at 6 o'clock in the evening after they're done with their day. They come to me before they go into dinner, to children, to whatever it is. You know, I make that time work because I want to make times that can be consistent. I want to build that consistency so you have in your life a space that is consistent, is just for you, does feel good, does provide clarity, does provide flexibility physically and mentally, right? That is valuable in my opinion. This is what I try to provide for folks. Um, but you know, I'll get to that question in just a minute. But taking that time to pour into yourself, whether that is now journaling, this is why I sell my journals. My journals are digital or paperback. Again, available at thickthightyoga.com, as is everything else, including the hoodies, including the pillow, including the cup, including the things that I offer, including all my services, my retreats. There are the next retreat that there are spots for that are available is in Brazil. Brazil is co-ed. Men and women are allowed to come to Brazil in this retreat. My podcast co-host and I are going to be in Brazil for 9 days in the summer, right? So if you have kids, it's a good time still to get in it because the kids can be doing what they need to do. You can put them somewhere. It's not school days. You don't have to get them up every single day. Um, they can spend that 2 weeks with their grandparents or your aunties or whatever, right? Um, Brazil, 9 days. It's the Black on the Mat retreat. It's totally beginner friendly. All my retreats and events are beginner friendly. And then if you're around in New York City, if you're here, Brooklyn, Saturday, as in 2 days, we are going to be at Happy Cork, Brooklyn, doing an elevated yoga session, sip, stretch, and a set intentions. I would love to see you there if you are a New York native, or if you plan to be in the city over the weekend. And as always, I'm Thick Thigh Yoga absolutely everywhere. I am going to stay live on TikTok, but I'm going to close out on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you so much for being here, y'all.